working on some easy peasy shapes right now, and I can teach you how to make it. It's very easy, and that's the name. And it takes just one piece of wire, a few tools, a hammer or bench block, and some ring or hoop mandrels. This technique has been worked out by us so that all you have to do is make one loop that's tiny, one loop that's large, and then you hammer it. I'm putting together a sampler right now that's going to tell you all the gauges of wire, how long to cut it, where on your plier to turn the loop, what mandrel size to stretch it out on, because doing the project is so easy. It's like seconds. That picking the size is the hardest part, and once I figure that out, that'll be easy for you too. Have fun! And the first thing I'm going to do is take my round nose plier and I'm going to make a loop. The loop size I'm choosing for this is the middle of my round nose plier. I'm going to start by turning until the wires touch and I have my basic loop. Now I will take my wrap and tap and I will go on the second jaw and I'll start by centering it and wrapping one side and then the other. Okay. At this point I'll take my flat nose plier and I'll push this wire forward to a 90-degree angle and I'll tuck it into the loop right there. And I will bend it forward and press down. So let me show you how to take the teardrop shape and make it round. I'm going to take this 5-inch piece of wire that is 16 gauge, and I can see right now that I did not flush cut this, so this is a good time for me to show you how to flush cut it. I use the edge of my cutter and I'll clip it. At least I covered that so it wouldn't fly, and now it's flat. Because this wire is a little thicker, I'm going to make the loop bigger than I did on the 18 gauge. I'm going to make it closer to the base and I'm going to roll forward till the wires meet. I'm going to get my wrap and tap again, and this time I'm going to test it. I'm going to see what happens if I do it on this wire. Bring it around, bring it around, and you can see that 5 inches is a lot longer than the wrap and tap can accommodate, so I'm going to switch to this hoop mandrel. Okay, so I'll put it on the hoop mandrel, and it stretches it. You keep pressing, stretch it a bit more, and press. So you can see at this point I've formed a teardrop shape, and I can go ahead and make a 90-degree angle right here, tuck it in, and I'd have a teardrop. But what if I wanted it round? Well, I'm going to take my flat nose plier and I'm going to bring it forward to a 90-degree angle. I'm going to tuck it in. And you can see it's a little high, so I'm going to stretch it out a bit, tuck it back in so it sits lower in there. Take my chain nose plier and fold it over. And you can see it got misshapen a bit, but that's okay because that's what we have this hoop mandrel for. I'm going to put it on my hoop mandrel and push down, and you'll see it changed from a teardrop to a round. And this is a good point for me to get my nylon hammer and start hammering it. This is a nylon hammer, and I love this hammer because it's good for shaping, and it's very durable, strong, and I like that it has a small head on one side and a domed rounded side right here. So what I'll do, just for the camera angle, is hit it like this. Normally I would hit it this way, but I want you to see what I'm doing. And the shape will start to go round because the mandrel is round. You see that? Okay, take it off. And you can see it's starting to make a hoop versus a teardrop. And that's just by pushing it down onto this hoop mandrel. Okay. So you have choices between making teardrop shapes and round shapes, A lot of times all you need is a graduated metal mandrel. For smaller ones, I use my ring mandrel. For larger ones, I like the hoop mandrel. And this is how you do the easy peasy. Now let me show you what to do if you just had a random piece of wire. I have no idea how long this is, so this is a good test. I'll make sure that both ends are flush cut. And you can tell it's not flush because if you look up close, it'll be pointed like a sharpened pencil. So you want to cut that off. And cut that off. I'm going to hang a charm on this one, so I'll get that ready. Make sure nothing's extending from the top and roll forward till the wires meet. I'm going to take my wrapping tap. I'm just going to guess and say, oh look, perfect. So I did that. You can use any round object you have at home. I like the wrapping taps because they're so easy and convenient. Take my flat nose pliers, make a 90-degree angle. Instead of putting it in and closing it off, now is the time to hook on your charm. You would close this and tuck that in the back. Pinch it. Now, you cannot put this on the mandrel to shape it. So at this point, you would use your flat nose pliers and pinch it. And that's how you can kind of give it a better shape. Ooh. On that note, let me show you how to make a point. So I'm going to take my chain nose plier, angle it in, take it on this side, angle it in, squeeze that flat. Now you have a point. I do have to hammer these pieces, so just widen that a little bit. I do have to hammer these out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hammer, my bench block, and I will show you a little bit of some hammering technique. So cute. And how to harden this piece, because right now this is soft wire and it can get bent out of shape easily if you lean on it or pull it. And so by hammering it, we'll harden it and make it a lasting piece. Before we begin hammering, I just want to point out that this piece has a front and a back. The back is where the wire is coming through and pressed down, and the front is where the wire you don't see that tail end. So I'm going to take the front so it's looking up at me, and I'm going to begin hammering. This is a metal hammer called a chasing hammer, and I'm going to use that to harden my piece. We do have different kinds of texturing hammers, so I'll do a couple of textures and I'll add some pictures at the end for you to see. But what this did is it made the piece really strong so that it stays in place. And you can see that it is a bit more flattened. If you didn't want it flattened and you wanted to keep the wire round, then what you would use is your nylon hammer. This also strengthens the piece. For the piece that has a charm attached onto it, you still must hammer it. So the key is to hold it in your hand and keep it out of the way. And switch sides.